Alrighty. Welcome back to the Functional Operator Podcast. This episode is brought to you by Nautilus AI Solutions, and that's actually us. We work with performance and wellness-based businesses to give them the systems and infrastructure they need to grow without losing what makes them great. And I've been looking forward to this conversation for a little while now. My guest today, Somesh, has built something that's genuinely different in the fitness world. And I think the way he thinks about this space is going to surprise a few people. So, let's get right into it. So Mesh, most businesses are, usually named after their location or their founder, but you called yours Superhuman. And, that's a big claim to put above the door of the gym. So I'm curious what that word actually means to you and what it means to the people who walk in the doors of the gym.
Oh, that's a great question because typically when I used to box and when I finally got into the business and I wanted to start my own gym after almost 6 or 7 years of working at other gyms, most of the gyms in India are actually, as you rightly said, they're named after the founder, you know, or
Hmm.
or there is some landmark location to it. So it could be, like California Gym or New York Fitness. But whenever I thought of the brand, I never wanted to put my name or any kind of location for two specific reasons. One is I do understand that people don't live forever, and one fine day I will be in some other part of the world, and I think that will dilute the brand. There are a lot of big, dance classes in India that are named after people, but after those people pass away, literally everything just changes. And any kind of location, I think, restricts the brand to that particular city. And I never wanted that. I mean, tomorrow, if there's a brand that has to go to Dubai or South Africa or maybe even Moscow, I think the brand should cut across all geographies and kind of appeal to the local people out there. And as far as any combat sport goes, I genuinely felt that, if there's a baseball player or a basketball player or some NASCAR racer, they all are the alpha males till the real dog Mike Tyson walks in. So the moment,
Yeah.
the moment you've got an alpha combat sport guy who walks in, he's the big dog of the house. And I had that thought and I said, whoever comes to my gym needs to feel beyond human. It's ultra human or uber human or something. And after brainstorming and thinking, I said, why keep it ultra or why keep it uber? Just let's keep it simple. Let's just call it superhuman. So whoever walks in through that door needs to feel he's a notch above the human that he exists or she exists around, and that's how the name came into being.
That is beautiful, man. I love that. Most people, I feel like, don't even have a 2 minute backstory to say about how they came up with their business. Nowadays, it's just ChatGPT or something like that.
I mean,
Uh,
I'm from an era where we didn't even have YouTube. We had to, we used to download, these fights when we wanted to see fights and stuff. We used to kind of download it from some, cracked or pirated site, and we used to watch it. So honestly, we are possibly from an era that actually uses their brain, and doesn't chat.
yeah,
I still don't use Chat GPT. you know uh,
it's good.
a lot of my younger social media guys, they are so quick and they're like, oh, chat gpt this that, but somehow I still feel it's not it's
Well, it's not. I think we talked about this a little bit
we
last
did.
time as well about
Yes, we
like
did.
even with AI, how it could still kind of take away some of the redundant tasks, but it will never replace you or a human. And I don't think it really will ever get to that point. It'll get
Absolutely.
better and better, but you need a human. There's something special up in our brains that let us do what we need
Absolutely,
to do.
absolutely. So that was the birth of the name Superhuman. That I wanted the people to feel that I'm a part of this club and I'm above the rest. So
For sure. And being, a fighter yourself, I'm sure it helped you embody a little bit more of that superhuman kind of personality.
yeah, I mean, in a good way, in a bad way, because a lot of my students, I remember, there were times where normally combat sport athletes are very, very calm, but there are times where things get out of hand, and we've seen how, you know, things went down with John Jones and Sean Strickland and these guys. We know how they behave sometimes, and sometimes my guys have got a little bit of road rage and they've got out of control. So generally they feel that, oh, I can do that. So so that's how super they felt.
Yeah, it's like I don't want to say a power trip for lack of better like way to put it, but it's you feel very like godlike. Yeah, I know exactly
Absolutely.
what you're saying.
Absolutely.
And kind of that feeling of being a fighter yourself, how would you say that, creeped into the business and how you ran the business and I guess your approach with Superhuman?
So what happened when I literally got into the sport of MMA was maybe in the year 2003, 2004. And at that point of time, India obviously had nothing, and being from a boxing, kickboxing background, I tried to learn wrestling and understand the sport of MMA and do my own things and figure my own path. It was only when I went to Russia with M1 Global in St. Petersburg did I really learn the sport, you know. And when I came back to India, I tried to teach it at multiple locations, and it was still very, very new, to a lot of people, because most people, when we thought of fitness, they thought of gym. And when I say gym, I mean strength training. That for them was fitness, or else it was on the other side of the spectrum, which is yoga. You know, so
Okay.
so for me, uh, the methodologies is that a lot of people generally think that, oh, I have to train to get a six pack, or I have to train to get good pecs or good shoulders, or something on those lines. And I always felt people should do some kind of sport, and be it a six pack, be it shoulders, all of these are all ancillary byproducts of your activity, which possibly could happen even if you play baseball, even if you play American football. You could still be huge, you could still have those massive legs. Some of the 100-meter guys look like bodybuilders, you know
Sure.
so they don't really train for that, but it's just a byproduct. So that's how I got into
Yeah.
this entire thing, where I will do boxing, MMA, and jiu-jitsu for fitness. That's how I positioned it at. And I used to normally train people like I'm training fighters, and the byproduct was obviously, their lung capacity, and they were looking bigger, they were looking better, they were feeling stronger. So that's how typically I did it.
That's awesome. And when you started that, because I know whenever you had first started the gym out, you were in like Gold Gym and like what was it, Talwalkars or something like that, another
Talwalkars,
another
yes,
gym as well.
yes.
Yeah, yeah. So you were in those other gyms as well. So were you kind of trying to introduce that philosophy in those new spaces until you finally transitioned out and kind of got your own thing going?
Yeah, so typically how it works in India, I think, it's like that in most parts of the world, that if you say this is free for your first couple of sessions, people just walk in,
Sure.
and that's how I think that.
I think that's true. I think that's true worldwide.
Absolutely, I mean, this is free, just come and walk in. So, that's how I initially got in the first couple of people, and I told them just try a few sessions, and and honestly, boxing is the easiest thing to even teach and learn. So when anybody has to do wrestling or jiu-jitsu, sometimes when it's a woman and a
A lot more
guy,
technical. Yeah.
they would get,
Okay. Sure.
they possibly would even feel a little awkward. So I say, what,
Hmm.
just wear those gloves. We have a bag here, and let's just go. And when people started
Nice.
realizing that, oh, 15 minutes of this gets me tired, but I can run for 1.5 hours on a treadmill, which means the treadmill is useless. you know so that's how I started getting people in, and got my first student, second, and then we grew from there. Did that for about 3 or 4 years. Got signed on exclusively with one particular brand, did that for 2 years, then franchised and opened my own.
That's awesome. And from what we talked about last time a little bit as well, obviously you're more, I don't want to put it this way, but quality over quantity, like with the two gyms and not really focused on, mass memberships or, getting as many people in through the door as you possibly can. You're kind of building something tighter and more focused. So when it comes to getting the right people that mattered, I guess the most, what was your approach for that? Instead of getting, a bunch of people, just getting the right people to come in through the doors or the right people to stay.
Right. So what I focused on as an individual is not to sign on too many locations across the country, because India, like the US, is a very, very vast country, and it's actually quite surprising that if you look at statistics, every 100 kilometers, I would say, what, maybe 60 miles, uh, we have a different language, we have different food, we have different clothes.
Hmm.
So India is that diverse, and I was very certain I did not want to grow across India, having 25 branches, and managing all of that, because it would be very difficult. So what I said, let me go into one or two locations and let me maximize all my focus and all my energies there and see as to how it works. So we attracted a lot of people, but we kept the locations only two as of now. And hopefully, this year and next year we would open 3 or 4 more. So that would take us to about 5 or 6 locations. But what we really focus on is quality training and client retention. So we like renewals a lot. We try and get that aspect, and we want to focus on that. So either we run discounts for it, or the good part with us is that when somebody comes to a gym, if we only have strength training, normally a year and a half, 2 years is at max that you can hold on to them, because the equipment stays the same. Honestly, every 6 months there's some new machine coming, and every gym cannot keep upgrading every 6 months. So at our place, what happens, because you can do strength training one day, you can do HIIT one day, you can do boxing one day, you can do jiu-jitsu one day, you can come for events one day. I think there's so much happening that we've got some clients that are there with us for as long as 5 to 6 years.
That's awesome. Yeah, the diversity definitely keeps people coming back.
Absolutely.
It's so important to change up your patterns. Like you literally have to break the pattern every now and then.
Absolutely.
Or not, it'll just feel like Groundhog's Day every single day.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, I noticed that even within my training. I don't do anything super crazy. I do some boxing nowadays, but now I do boxing in the kettlebells. But before I used to do like strictly just strength training and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
When you had said it earlier as well about how people will be focused on kind of just getting the muscles or the abs or any of this kind of stuff,
Right.
and not, prioritizing a goal and then having those things come as a byproduct.
Right.
That's what strength training taught me for the most part. It took me 4 years of going through that and,
Right.
and messing around and failing and having to push myself to come back in until I finally realized that you have to prioritize something else besides for the results.
Absolutely.
And you'll get the results naturally.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that is awesome. Speaking of getting people results, I'm sure you'd love to see people get results, right? It's probably one of the main reasons you would still do it.
Right. Right.
Probably helps out a lot. Yeah. So is there
for
any
me,
members?
sorry, yeah,
Yeah, no, go ahead.
for me, what has happened is, because I have seen so many regular clients, who train in boxing or in jiu-jitsu, they have started competing. So in India, last maybe 2.5 years, there have
Awesome.
been a lot of these amateur competitions, and a lot of our guys who are regular students, maybe office goers, they've started going for competition. So what happens is, with all my coaches, I tell them that, what, there are so many competitions happening. So we have a list, and we tell them, that this is, jiu-jitsu competitions, it's amateur, it's semi-pro, it's pro. Start taking these guys out there. So there's a sense of belonging that I'm traveling with my team. And I remember in the first ADCC, which happened in India, maybe 5 or 6 guys from our gym had gone. And in the last ADCC, which happened this year, I think in January, there were almost 21. So in a span of 2.5 years, from 6, we've gone to a team of 21 that have gone there. Now, when a team travels together, they also have that sense of belonging, that this is the gym I'm representing, this is my coach.
Sure.
This
It's a family.
This is my environment. This is my unit. So I think that has been one of the, it's been one of our strongest points, that we've been, holding these guys together and taking them to certain competitions. And again, it's not to become pro, nothing of that sort, but it is to possibly, feel that sense of competing, which I think most gyms don't even try, or it's not even there in their module.
That is awesome. And I guess when it comes to retention, like most people sign up for a gym, they quit within like 3 months, 6 months, whatever it is, maybe even a year. And I'm sure you've watched this happen over and over for,
Right.
what is it, a decade now. So what's really going on in your eyes? Why don't most people change? What does what is it that makes people stick from your experience?
So one of the strongest points that we have is we try and select locations for the gym which are in and around the universities or educational institutes, because what happens is most gyms in India try and get to these high street locations which has got a large number of locals. But I do believe what happens is locals are going to be living there, and if they go to your gym for a year or two, and say some new establishment crops up, they always want to try something new, and they'll switch from your gym to the other, you know. But
Hmm.
but at our place, what
Especially when it comes to prices. I think you mentioned that last
absolutely,
time. There's a lot of price gouging over there and whatnot.
absolutely,
Yeah, we're
absolutely. I mean,
got it.
even if the other guy knows that he'll not be able to sustain it beyond some time, he breaks the price, and honestly, all the establishments suffer. But when
Yeah.
when you're around the student population, literally every year you have a new intake coming in. You really don't have to go out there and hunt for your subscribers all the time, because they keep coming to that city. And I do believe that the moment you make it interactive, and not just you come, you enroll, and if you pay extra for personal training, you get that attention. I think if you break away from that mold and just say, what, just be dedicated, come here, have fun. This is your coach. These
Hmm.
are the activities. And just explore yourself. Go out there, compete. Do all of that. I think people just stick around. People just stick around.
Sure. People coming for the culture and for, the way everything operates. Makes complete sense.
Absolutely, and within our gym, there have been times where we've just organized this maximum deadlift competition, maximum squatting competition, maximum front press competitions, and we give
Nice.
out these Amazon vouchers, like $500, $1,000, maybe a bag, maybe an entire year's stock of energy drinks. So we just come up with these things, and people kind of enjoy it. I think the what I've learned from mixed martial arts, why it's so cool, is because there's no predictability. Like, honestly, I
Sure.
love I love F1, but it's the same car that's going around the same track over and over and over. And
Sure.
maybe there's a crash somewhere which is exciting, or maybe there's one overtake that happens. But in MMA, literally things are moving every single second. Like, there's somebody who is,
Yes.
I mean, I have taken somebody down, like he reverses and suddenly he's on top of me. You know,
Yeah.
so I just
Yeah.
love
It
that
is definitely
unpredictability.
it's my yes, I agree. I agree. MMA is definitely one of my favorite sports to watch. It keeps me on the edge of my seat constantly.
Absolutely,
Constantly.
absolutely. We have the White House card coming. We've got Alex Pereira who's there, who's going to knock this Cyril Gane out again. So I cannot wait to watch it. I cannot wait to cover it, in fact.
That is so awesome. I love how fired up you'll get about any event that's coming up. You were getting into it last
Oh,
time.
I
I was
love
loving
it.
it.
Oh, I love it, man. I cannot wait for
Oh,
Ilya Topuria to take on Islam Makhachev, and that would be, one of the fights that I'm really looking forward to. I don't know in what weight category it'll happen, but I'm really looking forward to it.
that's awesome. And I think I already know the question to this answer, especially after what we were just talking about. But if somebody could look at Superhuman Gym and, copy the programming, copy the layout, maybe even try and poach your coaches and take them for themselves,
Right.
what's one thing that you've built that they could never copy?
I mean, to be honest, I think I think they can copy anything. Like today, in today's generation, I mean, I can get the same layout. I can just do it on Google and see as to what's the layout. But I do believe culture is something that people cannot copy. They can always copy what we have done, but they can never copy what we're going to do. So, uh, and I I honestly am not really worried, because many people have come and they've asked me this question that, oh, what if we take the same colors and the same equipment and, pay the coach a little more? I'm like, yeah, go ahead, do it. It's just like how, there's PFL, there is Strike Force, but honestly, nobody can be the UFC. It's just because of the amount of data they have and the culture that they've carried, and the loyalty of their employees, like the loyalty of my students out here, and all of that. So I don't think it's that easy to copy. I mean, Harvard has been there for, like, I don't know, like maybe 1,000 years, but it's not easy to copy a Harvard. I mean, I can build the same kind of school, but there's
Hmm.
there's something called culture. I don't think it's that easy to copy.
Yeah, that's definitely what I was going to say is the passion, because I could tell every single time you talk about this kind of stuff, the passion that seeps through. It's literally your life through and through, and I could tell that, and I don't
Yeah,
even know you that
yeah,
well. Um,
absolutely.
yeah, so you
Absolutely,
you can't
and that
replicate
is
that kind
one
of stuff, and
reason.
that's the energy. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, there was a little bit of a lag. Sorry.
No worries.
And that's the reason why I don't want to go commercial and open 100 gyms, because I know once, or if that ever happens, I don't think I will be as passionate, because I'll be worried about the balance sheet and the profit and loss account, because
Hmm.
not all gyms will make money. At some point there may be some injury. At some point of time, somebody may break a leg. There may be a part. Like there are some parts in India where these guys come with guns and they say, what, and how much will you give me the membership for? So there'll be lot more stress. There'll be lot more stress on my head for passion to actually take the back seat. And that is one reason why I don't want to go that big, because even if I do it at a small level, and I'm happy if somebody replicates it and makes it big. I'm satisfied. I'm 42 years old now. I know, maybe 8-10 years more of doing this, and then I will have to slow down and take the back seat. So, might as well just do it well, instead of earning those hundreds of millions of dollars there.
That's awesome. And I'm going to rewind a little bit here back to, COVID time, because I think you did stuff a little bit differently than most gym owners and, people in this space didn't really do. Because when COVID came around, a lot of people, either cut their staff or shut down completely. But you kind of kept everybody on payroll and kept everything running, correct?
Yeah,
And then
because
also expanded within that time.
so, what happened during COVID is that we were blessed, because when we launched our standalone gym in 2018, my partner Frank and I consciously decided we would not go crazy in expansion, because we both have been parts of brands which have gone from one gym till 30 gyms and collapsed overnight, for whatever reason. I mean, it could be financial mismanagement, it could be just loss of passion, the founder taking a back seat, just letting things roll, whatever the reason may be. So we consciously took a decision that 2 years we will run this profitably. We will make all our mistakes, put our lives into this, and expand from there. And in those 2 years, we got a lot of franchise inquiries, from various parts of India. We even went and saw the location that we were kicked about doing something. And I remember that we were just about to sign a few things, and it was January 2020. We were about to sign a few deals, and it was just in that process of discussion. And March 2020 is when the lockdown happened. And
Hmm.
of course, everything for everybody globally went downhill from there. And we saw so many brands shut down, so many brands occur those losses. And my partner and me looked at each other and said, if by this time we would have had 5 branches, we would have been completely screwed, because currently dealing with one guy is easy, because he may say, don't pay me rent, right now, pay me later, or the electricity
Hmm.
bills, we can handle it later, or it's easier to manage 10 employees than to manage 50 employees. And what happens is, just because we have 5 branches doesn't mean we have 5 times the money. We may have three
Hmm.
times the money, you know and so what we did, we actually cut down on the staff accommodation. We all moved into one house. So instead of living in two separate houses, we all moved into one house. We gave one house away. And whatever savings that we had made in those 2 years, we told all the guys, because the city that we are in is not it's not a major town. It's not a big city. It's like a small town, but it's heavily focused on students. So,
Okay.
80% of our staff were from outside the city, and we had done their housing
Hmm.
and all of that. And so we kind of sat them down and said, what, we cannot pay you your salary, but what we can pay you is a small stipend for you to survive, to buy groceries and to live. You may not have any savings, you may not have any of that, but we will give you money to survive. And honestly, that's how we managed. And for us, this went on till almost September 2022, till we actually started full
Wow.
fledged, which is over 2 years. So in India, what had happened, like COVID was on, and then I think 6, 7, 8 months, the government said, why don't you, have some relaxation, maybe open, 7, 8 hours a day. And then the second wave came, and they again stopped everything for 7, 8 months. Then they again allowed some relaxation. Again, the third wave came. So honestly, it was start, stop, start, stop. And when things started opening up, gyms opened, restaurants opened, movie halls opened, they suddenly realized that uh, the COVID virus had hit back. So people who had enrolled in gyms realized, oh, you know what, my money's stuck again. I was anyways not working for 7 months, and now that I paid the membership fee, my money is stuck again. So one more thing we did is whoever had paid us, we extended their membership once they came back. So we didn't take any extra money. We said, listen, if you have done 1 year of membership and 6 months are over, whenever you join back, you get those additional 6 months. You don't have to pay us, nothing of that sort. So we try to do that as well. So literally start stop was not the best for us, because even though the markets were open, nobody came to gyms. Nobody. It was literally empty, and my staff were there, and stuff like that. So we whatever
That's amazing though,
whatever
to
money
take
we,
the loss like that, and then to still give them the extension and all that. It just really shows about the quality.
I mean, I think we could do it because we were only one gym. If I had five gyms, I don't think we could have done it, because it would have been too much for me.
Yep.
You know
Yep. Like you said as well, you could have five gyms, but you're only really getting three times the money. But
exactly,
now you have five times the clients.
exactly, exactly. And five times the staff, five times the rent. So five
Yep.
times the expenses.
Yeah, that is unreal. I can't even imagine navigating through that time. It must have been hectic for sure. But during that period as well, didn't you? I mean, I know you had said there was offers to franchise and other gyms and all that kind of stuff. But were there other gyms, like struggling gym owners, that were reaching out to you as well for help and this kind of thing?
In fact, we had launched a campaign, and we had in fact done a very positive social media campaign on this side of the world, saying that if anybody is struggling and wants to be taken over or wants our help, then we are more than happy to do that. I think we got over 100 inquiries of various gyms who want to stop and who want to give their premise away to us. Uh, Now, for some reason, it did not work out, because some of the gyms were too small, and some of the
Hmm.
owners were asking for too much money for themselves to exit. And at that point of time, I was telling them that, listen, there's going to be no monetary exchange. I can just cut your losses, come in and help you at least survive.
Hmm.
So that was the approach that we took. So honestly, on a friendly note, we did it with a lot of gyms, but we didn't take over any gym. We didn't kind of rebrand them, nothing of that sort. We just said, we know so many people.
Just giving them some relief.
Yeah, I know, we know so many people are actually struggling, because see, what happens in a restaurant or a movie theater, it's transactional, which means, I pay for a burger, I get the burger, and I'm out. Now in a gym, I pay for the service, and I'm going to be there for either 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, or 1 year. So I pay once,
Hmm.
but I have access for 6 months. Now, if the gym shuts down in 3 months, then it's a bad scene for the customer more than the gym. So a lot of people were actually struggling in that zone. And honestly, on a very friendly note, we were just brainstorming, and many G meets happening, and I was just trying to tell them that this is how you can market it socially. you know Cut the AC down, cut your staff down, cut your expenses down, negotiate on rents and all of that. So I think I must have helped about 10 gyms.
That's awesome. And I'm sure it even helped you out in the long run as well. It just gives you new perspectives on how different people run
Absolutely.
their operations, and
Absolutely.
the different people coming in and out the doors. And yeah,
Absolutely.
that's amazing.
It also helped. Now there were some markets which I have not even explored. And sometimes I got to know there are some good people in the other parts of India that were actually helping out. Like I've given my property on rent, but I'm still extending my arm, and I want that business to run. So
Mhm.
I was quite shocked to know that there were some really really good owners out there who were supporting the businesses, even though they were not getting rent, they were still supporting that business.
That is awesome. And between your experience with Superhuman and then also, I guess, looking in on these other businesses as well, what's kind of the hardest thing to actually get right? Because, when you look from the outside on a lot of these, places nowadays. You're getting a lot of social presence. It's very easy to make your business look beautiful and make it look absolutely perfect and the best place to be. But on the inside, there's always going to be that friction. There's going to be those problems. So, in your opinion, what's kind of the hardest thing to get right with this business?
Uh, I personally feel the hardest thing is to maintain the quality that you want. Uh, so I know a lot of, at least, I mean, I can talk about this industry. Uh, a lot of gym owners, it's very easy, for the first couple of years to actually get things going. Like the equipment is new, the AC is new, the music is new, everybody's pumped up. Because you're new in that locality, even the people in and around are quite pumped up because they know, oh wow, it's a new gym, let's try it out. You're gung-ho on the social media marketing, and in case you've raised funds, you've got money in the bank. But what happens after 4 5 years, either there's competition in the area, or your gym equipment is looking old, or maybe the board lights are not working, or you've changed your staff, or you've changed pricing. I think the fact that you have to keep going at it every single day and maintaining quality, that after 4 5 years is a challenge. The fact that you literally have to be dedicated. And what happens, maybe from location one, you've over say 7 8 years, you've built 10 gyms. You still have to be passionate and dedicated about gym one that is probably 7 years old.
Sure.
You know?
Sure. Well, there's at the same time, there's always kind of, temptation to take on more members, to lower the bar a little bit more, to make more money in the
Absolutely.
short term. So I guess going into the quality thing as well, how do you hold on to that line where you don't fall into that temptation, or, don't let the wrong person in, or, I'm sure there's, choices that you've made that you've maybe regretted and you learn from. So maybe a little bit of insight onto that with maintaining quality.
What I tell my sales staff is, please get Google reviews, and
Okay.
I personally look at all the Google reviews. So I keep telling people, the more you review, the more I will know, sitting in some part of the world, that sometimes people say, oh, you know what, the equipment is a little old, broken, oh, the AC is not working, this trainer was a little lapsed today. So honestly, there's nothing like client feedback. And what I personally do, again, because we only have two gyms, I travel a lot to both the gyms and I spend time on the floor. So I don't tell them I'm the owner. I just talk to them as a friend and say, oh, what's happening? How are things going? How is the training? Do you like the environment here? Is the music fine? Is the coaching fine? And when anybody asks me, oh, so do you work here? So I say, yeah. Like I work here.
Yeah. You're a part of the operation through and through.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
Because the moment you tell them that you're one of the owners, 99% people will come and say, oh, you know what, I think it's a little expensive. Can I get some discount? So
Yeah. Yeah.
it
Yeah. Yeah.
always goes in that
There's
direction.
just some sort of angle. Yeah. It
Yeah.
changes the perspective
you
from
know
any person. I agree.
so I just tell them, what, that I work here and I just kind of visit. So this is what I do. But what's happened is, after my TV show, for the UFC, I think a lot of people have started to recognize me, and then that becomes a problem, because then they know as to who you are, and sometimes the feedback is not genuine. you know so
Sure.
some of them, they say, oh yeah, it's very good, everything is fine, don't worry about it. But I know it's not genuine feedback, and I tell them that, if something is not up to the mark, please let me know, because that is what I'm interested in. The good stuff, honestly, I'm not interested, because yeah, the good stuff is good stuff and it's there. I'm interested in the bad stuff that we can improve on.
For sure. That's good. That's very good. Most people will just drown themselves out with all the good and just blindside themselves from the
Yeah.
negative. And then you hear any negative feedback, you're like, "What are you talking about? You're insane." But
Yeah.
that's awesome. It's very good. It's very good to be, self-aware like that. Um, and when it comes to scalability, obviously you have the two locations right now. But you were mentioning, eventually you want to get to 4, 6, 8, something along those lines.
Right.
Do you feel that the quality is definitely going to be the hardest thing to bring along to each gym?
Absolutely.
But do you feel like that is an achievable goal to be able to bring the quality that you want to provide to maybe 4 or 6 or 8 locations?
uh Honestly, I personally am a very optimistic person, so my answer is yes. but I do know it is very very difficult. So some of our coaches, I mean, it could be a BJJ coach or it could be a striking coach. Every time they leave and somebody new comes in, even though the newer
Hmm.
guy could be better, he could be a better coach, he could be a more experienced coach. The students always like, oh, but that coach was better. He taught me this way. So people get used to patterns.
Well, there's a
So
relationship behind
you
it
know
as well, for
and,
sure.
and honestly, if I've got five coaches and if I ask each one of them to throw a jab, it would be different. you know so we can never standardize it to that level. I mean, it's not really automation, but what I tell the coaches that make it fun. Nobody here wants to literally throw a jab so perfectly that it cannot be countered. I said it has to be fun. you know as long as the client is having fun, you can always keep them engaged and like correct them. So it doesn't have to be perfect. Just let them do the activity, let them have fun, let them burn some calories, let them sweat out, let them feel good about themselves, let them record videos. It doesn't have to be perfect. And the fact that it
For sure.
doesn't the fact that it doesn't have to be perfect, I think has worked really wonders for us.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like you have sort of a safe space where people can come in and, not feel, awkward or weird about being themselves fully. And they can,
Absolutely.
say what they want, train how they want, record, do anything they need to do. It's like a second home. I love that.
Absolutely, absolutely. And in fact, I tell most of these coaches that even if these guys are in a boxing class, it's okay. I mean, if I throw a 1-2 and my hand drops, it's okay. No,
Hmm.
nobody here, going to compete against Jake Paul. Nobody wants to fight Francis Ngannou. It's fine. I mean, tomorrow if you see Nate Diaz's boxing, his hands are down. Like nobody cares. But
Right?
he still held the BMF belt at one point of time. So you don't like life doesn't have to be perfect. But
There's many different ways to win the race too.
absolutely, the journey has to be fun. So
Yes. Yes.
that's what I focus on. And because we don't focus on perfection, I think it makes our life easier.
For sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah. When you have that expectation of perfection, you're constantly going to be stressing yourself over the fact that you're not doing enough or you're not who you should be or where you need to be yet.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's funny you said that. That's a personal problem that I deal with a lot because in my own life, will strive for perfection in every single regard.
But
Until I realize that it's not a bad thing to strive for, but it's not a good thing to expect.
you know, Noah, for me, what happens? I mean, you can never be perfect. Honestly, nobody can be perfect. I mean, I can show you the most perfect diamond today, and in a week you'll be like, oh, but if it had this cut, it would be better.
Hmm.
There's no perfect film. There's no perfect diamond. I don't think anything in the world is perfect. I mean, to be honest, there was this beautiful experiment where they took the human face and they showed this part and this part, and they say that both the parts are not symmetrical. Both the parts are not perfect. Your own face is not
No.
perfect.
Definitely not. Have you ever looked? So there's different like apps you could take pictures with,
Okay.
like different social media apps, I guess. And when you're on certain social media apps, your face will almost look perfect. But if you take it with the regular, iPhone camera, you look at it and you can see how your face is not symmetrical.
Absolutely.
It's very interesting.
And in fact, there's this new trend, I mean, that I've been seeing, like all my coaches are kind of sharing it with me. It showed that, these absolutely perfect form bodybuilders, and they are kind of doing everything perfectly, and they've got a shoulder dislocation, like, their spine is
Hmm.
damaged. And on the flip side, in like the 1970s, you've seen Arnold Schwarzenegger pick up crazy weights with a bent back, and he's just going at it like this.
Well, he was actually an advocate for that kind of stuff as well,
And
which is
he was,
crazy because he would,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, when you look at the training style back in the 70s and 80s, it's a lot different than what it is today. That's why I like the
Absolutely.
even the kettlebell workouts now because they're very functional movements. You're
Right.
doing very dynamic movements instead of such like stiff and rigid movements
Right.
nowadays. Like if everybody's just going in and doing their machines and their dumbbells and their squats and all that kind of stuff,
Right.
you're gonna be stiff and rigid for sure.
Absolutely. Honestly, if somebody tells me, oh, your feet have to be at 37 degrees and do a squat, I'm like, rubbish. Nothing of the sort. Your feet can be at 67 degrees for all I care, as long as your
Yeah.
muscles are getting activated. Your glutes, your quads, your hamstrings, and come on,
Just like training in the gym. You just got to have
absolutely,
fun with it.
absolutely. Like in fact, when I was in Russia with Fedor and his brother Alexander, and they had weird workouts. I mean, they used to take a bar and not even move it straight. They used to move it like this, and up
Yeah.
and down. And I was like, wow, this is really cool. And I was like, dude, it doesn't have to be linear, doesn't have to be perfect. You just need to, go out there, have fun. As long as you're knocking people out, that's good. I mean, Francis Ngannou doesn't have technique. Come on, It's just this big, powerful, monstrous black guy that just takes people's heads off here.
Yeah, what can you do?
You know, so
It's funny when you told me from last call how you thought you were gonna get on and I was gonna be a massive black guy or
yeah,
something like
yeah.
that.
I mean,
So funny.
I didn't expect this good-looking white dude. I was like, Noah Thomas has to be a black guy. He's a big black guy who's going to come with a deep voice and say, "Hello, boys, what's up?"
He's gonna be my next star at Superhuman.
You're the man. You're the man.
Yes, sir. Well, I'm kind of running out of questions for you, but I think I got a couple more. Did you
Yes,
want to
please.
do? You had mentioned you wanted to go around the gym. Do you still want to do that? Are you there currently?
Yeah, yeah. I'm there. I'm there currently. Do you want me to take you around?
Yeah, maybe like a 5 minute little walk around, something like that.
Oh
That'd be
yeah,
cool.
sure, sure. Let me just
Sweet.
pop this right out, and I will take you around.
There we go. We're
It's
on the
like what?
move.
Yeah, it's 8:45 p.m. So, uh, this is honestly this is where the entrance is, and it says the
Okay.
most dedicated walk through these doors. You know.
Nice.
So
I
yeah,
like that.
yeah. So that's right here at the entrance, and you push it straight through. We have our rash guards here. We've got some shorts out here, track pants, caps, and we have our boxing gloves and all here.
Nice little merch store. I like that.
Yeah. So this is the strength training section here. I'll just zoom out. Yeah. Oh wait.
Yeah, just to get a look at the
I'll
gym.
actually I'll actually take it to the. This is the wall of fame that I call out here. So this is the
These are all the
signed
people who
poster.
you trained with or trained in your gym.
No, so this is the first Indian that went to UFC. This is the official signed poster of that. Then we've got Larry
That's
Holmes'
awesome.
signature on his photograph here. We've got Jorge Chavez Jr. out here, and this is Conor McGregor.
Oh, that's a good shot.
Yeah, so that's Conor McGregor, Nate Diaz, and that's signed by Conor. This is the first guy that I took to the UFC from India, Bharat Kandare, and that's his glove. We've got Mike.
Wow.
We've got Mike Tyson's glove here. Uh, this
That's a
is
good one.
this is when I met Ronda Rousey.
Wow, you have some legends hanging up in there, huh?
Yeah, yeah. And I've got ruthless Robbie Lawler. One second. Can you see it? Yeah, there. Robbie Lawler.
Yes, I can see it. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's probably one of the best parts of the gym right there.
Oh yeah.
And you get to walk in and see it first thing.
In fact, I've got Chuck Liddell's signed shots. I've got Khabib signed posters. So
What, do you have them hiding? You got them in the other location, I'm guessing.
I've got it wrapped up. It was supposed to be at the other location, but yeah, and just the boys out here after class practicing. These guys look toasted here. See?
Right?
Yeah. So yeah, so the boys kind of training here. So this is the grappling zone here. And this is the, okay, I'll just zoom out a little bit because this is the striking zone here. So out here is the striking zone. About 12 or 13 bags out here.
It's a
and
massive
people can just
space.
train. Yeah, and we've got the octagon
Ooh,
cage
I think
here.
I'm losing you a little, Somesh.
Yeah. Sorry.
I think I'm losing you a little bit. The internet's starting to cut out.
Oh, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Hey, oh, there we go. I think I got you again. Yes,
Oh
yes, I
yeah,
can.
I think it's the internet. I mean, when I go on the other side, my Wi-Fi doesn't catch.
No worries. It was just cool to
Yeah.
be able to see at least some
So
some
this is
part
the
of the gym.
strength
I seen it
training
on the
zone here.
YouTube video and whatnot, but
That's where the strength training side is. Yeah.
it's a big gym. Yeah,
Yeah,
very
yeah.
big gym for sure.
Yeah, it's quite big. It's quite big. It's about 10,000 square feet. Yeah.
10,000 square feet?
Yeah. This is the reception here. So we have like a desk here. The boys sit here. And yeah, that's about it.
That is amazing. I love that.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been to a lot of different gyms. I've never seen one quite like that. Because
Oh,
everything I
really?
go to, it'll either be a boxing gym or a strength training gym. I think kind of like what you were saying earlier, how a lot of the gyms are like near you are mainly just strength training gyms or just like boxing or MMA gyms. That's a very good
Right.
hybrid gym. Most gyms are one or the other.
Right, right. That's what we've tried to create, and I think one of the biggest challenges we have had is, coaching. Like having good coaches be there, stay with us, stick with us, believe in the vision. That has been a little bit of a challenge, but it's okay. It's okay. It's all a part and parcel
For
thing.
sure.
We have to move on. We
For
have to
sure.
handle what's there.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, what's something that you kind of believe about fitness or performance that most people in the industry would push back on? Something that might be true but goes against what most gyms, believe, maybe what they're selling, what their philosophies are. Is there anything that comes to mind?
Uh, I mean, I can pinpoint two things. One is change. People always have to adapt to new training methodologies. They have to always innovate. They always have to find better and more effective way of doing things. Because I have been in gyms where the coaches feel, oh, this is the way to do it, and this is the only way to do it. It's like how maybe 15 years back there was a fad across the globe, at least in India, and it said how fat is not good for the body. And if I fast forward 15 years, suddenly fat became very good for the body. Sometimes people say, oh, you cannot consume too much salt, it's not good for the body. If I fast forward 15 years, oh, salt is very good for the body. So
Hmm.
so I do believe that you have to keep changing, adapting, learning, because the body itself keeps adapting and changing. you know like if I rewind 1000 years, maybe we had a completely different set of teeth, because the kind of food we ate at that point of time was very different. At this point of
Sure.
time, the entire oral structure is very, very different. So even the body keeps adapting. So one is change and adaptability. uh, you know so that I think is very, very important to me. And the second thing, I think we spoke about it earlier in the podcast, is uh, perfection. I really don't think anything is perfect, and genuinely it cannot be. On that given day, you just need to give it your best, and it doesn't have to be perfect. Like, honestly, just moving a little bit on the side, there was a company that had roped me in for some business development activity, and I was doing it as a friend. I was not really It was not a consultation project that I was getting paid for, and it was like, you know, two or three engineers had started a company, and they had hired 15 engineers under them, and that was the entire company, and
Wow.
the company was like into uh, it was more of a tech driven company that that had to be installed and stuff, and I used to tell them that it's a tech company, it will keep evolving, let's go to the market and see the response, you know and those three engineers that had hired 15 engineers, which means 18 engineers sitting in one company, they always spoke about making the perfect product before going to the market.
Never works.
And it's been 3 years. They're just perfecting the product, and it's never gone to market. And every time we speak, they're like, "Oh no, you know what? We need to make this one change. It will be better. We can make it better." And I tell them it can always be better, but let it go to the market, and you can keep
Yep.
improving. It's been 3 years, and they're just making the product better. Like uh, in in Hindi, uh, the the saying is, मोर नाचा जंगल में देखा किसी ने नहीं, which means the peacock dances in the jungle, but if nobody sees it, nobody can appreciate the beauty. you know
Interesting one.
you know
I
so
like that.
so if people don't watch the peacock dancing, nobody will appreciate it. So, I always told them that you must never aim at perfection, because then you will never aim at it. You have to get the product out there. You have to be available. You can always keep changing. You can always keep improving. You can always keep improvising. So
Yep.
I
And
I
even when you
I
look
think
at the
these two
bigger
things.
companies, like, yeah, no, those are amazing. Those are definitely not surface level answers by any means. And yeah, I definitely agree with kind of like the progress over perfection philosophy, because like even when you look at, bigger companies like Apple, for example,
Right.
when they come out with a new phone, they're just going to release it. People are going to buy it, and they're going to have a lot of feedback. They're going to have, they're going to have to do updates. They're going to have to do maybe a recall and take all their phones back and give out new
Absolutely.
ones for whatever it may be. But the most important thing is they came out to market, and they were actually able to get real feedback because they went to market and got real opinions on what that
Absolutely.
product actually needs.
Absolutely. Like your 200 engineers sitting in Apple will never be as good as the 200,000 that will buy the product and say, you know what, oh, there are too many bugs, oh, the display is not good. Maybe the downloading
Hmm.
time takes, is double than what it used to. So honestly,
Hmm.
it's a part and parcel. Like, people should not be so passionate about the product that it doesn't go out in the market.
I mean, if you look at it in the grand scheme, it's kind of like what I'm doing with this podcast right now. I mean, I mentioned to you, it's very, very new. This is
Absolutely.
very, just starting out. It's a new kind of avenue to express. But I could
Absolutely.
have sat back and went, oh, I need to get the perfect questions to ask. I need this, I need that. But instead, just hopped into it and see how it goes. And then I get to have
Absolutely.
great
Absolutely.
conversations
Like,
like
in
this,
fact,
where I
you know,
learn from it
in
and see
in
where to
fact,
see where to get better.
absolutely, absolutely. In fact, when I launched Battleground, I said, forget it. If there are no sponsors, it's fine. I will take brands for free and at least tell them what they can do, and eventually get the first $10,000 sponsorship. After that, get 15,000, then 20,000. But if I wait for the entire, oh, it has to be sponsored. We need to have perfect sponsorships and co-powered by and all of that. Honestly, I would have never had a Battleground. I would have never been able to do it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And you probably would have looked back knowing that you wanted it and then regretted never doing it. I think that's what
Absolutely.
the trap a lot of people end up falling into.
Absolutely. That's why I actually appreciate people that go bankrupt, because I'm like, at least they tried.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. If you, Samesh, if you could go back in time and, have one honest conversation with yourself on the day that you started, Superhuman Gym and this whole, brand and franchise, what would you say to yourself knowing what you know now?
uh, that that's a good question, because for a change, I have nothing to say. uh, because honestly, I have always been, a risk taker, and I was never afraid to fail. And most people,
Hmm.
honestly, out of 10 things that I've done, maybe I failed at 8 of them. To be really honest,
Hmm.
and most
All
of
you
them,
really need is that one, even two,
exactly,
to get going.
and people are like, oh, you failed at this, failed at that. I said, dude, but I've succeeded at 2, and you're still at 0. You have not even tried. So,
Yeah, exactly,
this you have done
exactly.
0 things and and succeeded at 0. I've tried 10, and I've at least succeeded at 2. So, I, I genuinely believe that I would have not changed anything, because uh, a lot of people sit and they analyze and they say, "Oh, what if this, that?" But however, my mathematics is very good, So I think that has been a plus point. So I take my risk based on the mathematics, but there are
They're like
times,
statistically took.
yeah, So even if I have like a 50% chance of success, and I will go ahead and I will do it. You know, I
Hmm.
never aim for anything beyond that. So honestly, I just I just think things have fallen perfectly, for me. I would not change anything, or maybe I would. I mean, if I go back in time and tell myself take more risks, then honestly, I don't know how that would have played out, because I anyways take a lot of risks. I mean,
Yep,
four of my co-founding members will tell me, oh, you know what, this you cannot do, and there's a good chance that I will go ahead and I will do that.
sure. Anything when it comes to maybe training up coaches or interactions within the gym or anything else along those lines that you would go back and tell yourself that basically, I don't know, just what you know now, just something that you wish you knew, whatever it was 10 years ago now.
I think one of the issues with me, I mean, I look at it as a good point, but others may see it as an issue, is that sometimes I start a little too early. Like when I started this entire uh, my effort to getting MMA where it is, uh, I think I was a bit too early, and maybe the first 3 or 4 years were too much of a struggle, because, I mean, nobody even heard about the sport, and the first thing that when you Google MMA, and I'm talking about way back in 2009, 10, when you Google MMA at that point in time, there were only these gory pictures of, people getting elbowed in the face, and, these big cuts out here. So, be it school, colleges, or even corporate offices, they were actually totally against it. They said, so I used to go to them saying that, what, I will train your kids, or, maybe there can be a self-defense seminar. And they used to ask me, what is it? And I used to say, oh, you know what, there's mixed martial arts is very good. And people used to Google it. And the moment they used to Google it, there used to be these teeth falling and these big scars, and, people kneeing each other in the face and stuff like that, and full bloody and stuff. And I was like, dude, those are extreme cases. But the door is just shut right there, you know. And I've possibly lost out on, maybe out of every 100 doors I've knocked on, maybe 3 of them have given me a chance. So
Wow.
I do feel sometimes I start a little too early, but I think I have that knack of believing what can be the next big thing. You know,
Hmm.
uh,
A visionary
you
for the
know,
most part. Yeah, you
at
can see
at least in India,
what it is that you're going to do.
at least in India.
Okay.
So for example, even for property and land, I actually keep my eyes and ears open. So I know that maybe out here, there could be a seaport or an airport coming in the next 10 years. So we should invest in this, location. Honestly, sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. I'm literally right maybe 3 or 4 times out of 10. But if I'm even right 3 or 4 times out of 10, I think it's a big, jump, and it's a big bonus. Like honestly,
Sure.
uh, mixed martial arts maybe started getting momentum in 2016, 17, and I started advocating for it in maybe 2009 or 10. You know, so
Wow. Yeah, it's a big gap for
yeah,
sure.
it's like 6 years, and
Yeah.
I think sometimes I just waste too much time trying to explain to people what this is, and honestly,
Sure.
most guys, most sports complexes or most of these educational institutions really told me that this sport is going to get nowhere. It's too gory, it's too violent, and it's not going to be accepted anywhere in the world. And I told them, you know what, it anyways exists, and it's getting momentum. And they're like, yeah, I know, that's in America. We are possibly sitting 10,000 miles on this side, and it's never going to come on this side. And honestly, we are sitting in 2026. It's the fourth most watched sport in India.
Sure. And now you could watch it from anywhere. If you were to stream something, somebody could watch it. I
Absolutely.
could watch it here from South Florida.
Absolutely, absolutely. So uh, sometimes that kind of works against me. But honestly, even if I go back 15 years, I don't know what different could I have done, except for maybe wait a little longer and wait for the right time to launch.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I think this is probably the last one. What are we coming up on here? Oh, we got an hour. I knew this would be a longer conversation, but
Love it.
it's good because I don't really have much else to do for the rest of the day, so I can keep this one going.
Ooh.
But yes, sir. Pretty much last question. I ask everyone this, because it's a really good hypothetical. But if you had a magic wand and you could fix one thing in your business right now, one thing that would make, the biggest difference, be able to help you, whatever it would be, scale to the next location or, bring more quality clients within the door, whatever it would be, what would that be for you?
Uh, Damn it. You've kind of stumped me again. I you know I don't know, and I genuinely am an advocate of that money doesn't solve problems. So there could be anybody with umpteen amount of money, but that would really not solve problems. Uh,
Sure.
I don't know, man. That's such a good question because I mean, damn it, it's the last question, and I kind of instead of hitting a home run, I kind of got out. Yeah.
Trust me, it's a tricky one for sure. But it could be, I guess, to reverse engineer it a little bit, what would be the biggest thing that you're trying to achieve within the business right now?
The biggest thing, I just think that if I would have roped in my team a little earlier, the guys that I have right now, if I would have got them a little earlier, I think the business could have scaled up and been much bigger than what it is today. So, uh, of course, it's very, very hypothetical because I met them on day one, and maybe by day 80 or 90, like in 3 months, I got them in. But if I had got this
Hmm.
team earlier, honestly, a lot of things could have changed. A lot of things would have been better for us when it comes to battleground, the events, my protein supplementation, the distribution angle to it, the logistics, and all of that. So, I
Sure.
think that
But now that you have that team, that's how, because you're saying the team's gotten much better, obviously, correct?
absolutely, yeah, yeah,
Got it.
yeah,
So, I mean, as time goes on, you guys are going to have those, I guess, more improved results and whatnot. So, what do
absolutely.
you think that will do for you? Just open up more avenues, new possibilities?
Right. Like for
Um,
me, I mean, the gym is one segment, and because it's a real estate space, we have a small shop that you saw, which has boxing gloves and protein supplements and all. Events is the other, and train the trainer. Like the academy is the third. So, what I want to do is I want to make the most use of the real estate space that we have here, and the quicker
mhm.
I can do that, uh, the revenue of the company goes up. And honestly, that is where I'm looking at. If you ask me my personal goal, I'm about 42 now, so I've put a personal benchmark that by 45 I want to get my company listed in the stock exchange. So I've got 3 years for that, and we need to work backwards as to if that has to happen, then what is needed to like get done. So my personal goal is to have a public listing in the Bombay Stock Exchange, which is in Mumbai, when I'm 45, which means 3 years from now.
And is there any like I guess minimums or is there any expectations that you need to qualify to be listed on the stock exchange?
Actually, I don't know. I have just started talking to a company that specializes in taking organizations to the stock exchange. So I think you need to be at least 3 years in existence, and you need to be no. I mean, there's no clause of profitability or there's nothing of that sort. So you need to be minimum 3 years.
Hmm.
You need to be a private limited, and oh yeah, I mean, of course, there needs to be no like legal cases against you and all of that.
Sure.
You know,
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah, yeah. And is that just kind of like a personal goal that you want, or is that just like what does that do for you being listed on the stock exchange?
uh, Actually, it was possibly my father and my sister's dream because they used to be in the stock exchange. They used to buy and sell shares. So my father is not there anymore. He expired about 30 years back. But my sister was also there in trading. So she used to trade a lot in stocks. And one of her dreams also was, to be a part of, a public listed company. And I think that has just been with me. So it is more of what my dad and my sister wanted. So hence, I think that goal has sunk in, and I want to do it for them. So my sister is still there, but my dad is not there, and I think that's the only goal. And because I never chase funding or money, I don't think it's a money thing. It's just more of a prestige thing that you've started something that eventually got listed in the stock exchange.
That is awesome. I'm sorry for your loss as well. It's definitely not easy.
No, man.
But yeah, that's definitely
It's
awesome to
so
carry on
cool
that
because,
legacy.
like, my mom has been my mom and dad, and I do realize most of the things in life that I went through, be it the tough situations and all, honestly, that made me who I am today. And I'm so like happy and proud to say that some of my friends that I see them today, I don't think they are mentally or physically or emotionally as strong as me. Maybe because of the situations that I went through, 30 years back. So honestly, I take it as a good thing. I don't think it's a bad thing, and I genuinely believe whatever happens is, it's done by God for a reason. And there is some reason why it's happening, and you have to get over this situation. So whatever that may be.
That is beautiful. I wish more people held that mindset because I'm very, very similar for the most part. But yeah, everything does definitely happen for a reason. And you might not understand why it's happening right now, but then you look back in 5, 10, 20 years, whatever it is, and you realize
Absolutely.
that it all worked out for a reason. It's beautiful. It's awesome. Oh, I completely forgot. Where can people find you?
Oh,
Website, Instagram, any of these kind of things?
Instagram. I'm most active on Instagram. However, I suck at Instagram, but I see that the most. It's as simple. It's Somesh.kamra. That is my Instagram ID.
Awesome.
Somesh dot Kamra. So my name is down here. You can just put a dot in the middle, and you know
There you go.